Welcome back to the Pro Series Podcast. This is episode 165, and today's guest is Alex and Lindsay Remley from Edgework Creative over in Columbus. This is an in-person podcast. I traveled to their showroom and interviewed them about a month and a half ago. It was a great interview. We talk about a lot about what they do. They do some amazing stuff. So if you do not follow them on social media, go ahead, do yourself a favor and check them out. Give them the follow. But it's an awesome story of how they were created and how they work together and just the business that they grew. But before we get into this episode, please like, subscribe, and review this podcast on wherever you listen to podcasts. Now I hope you enjoy episode 165 with Alex and Lindsay Remley from Edgework Creative. Well, Alex and Lindsay, thank you so much for having me in your showroom. I love the tour. I love what you guys do. It's so cool talking about this, like the creative side of not just residential, because I feel like I'm only in the residential world, but the commercial and retail side. So it's really cool to talk to you guys and your team.
Yeah.
Happy to have you.
Our team gave him the business today, asked him questions. What about this?
Oh, yeah.
Can we do that?
I love those questions. Like I said, I'm so used to the residential people and they don't have questions like that.
Yeah.
They're just worried about, or they don't want to talk about lighting at all. So it's kind of cool.
Yeah.
People that actually know this stuff and are the same wavelength.
Yeah. They were like, what about this? And what if we could do that? And how big can this be? And, all the questions. Trying to figure out. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, on the Pro Series, I like to talk about the origin story to inspire anybody out there that, wants to be where you are, or maybe want to create a company or come work for you. So I want to kind of start from the beginning on how Edgework Creative started and, was it something that it was always when you were little? Did you always want to do something like this? Like, what was it?
Do you want me to start or do you want to?
I'll say that we are accidental entrepreneurs.
Oh.
We did not have a grand vision of starting a business. And we found ourselves here. So truly anyone can do it, This was not part of a bigger plan. We didn't have a business plan when we started it. It's just sort of been like slow organic growth. But I'll let Alex tell the story of like how we ended up with a furniture business and accidental entrepreneurs.
Yeah. So we had moved into our current house. This is
Would have been 2012.
2012. And didn't have any furniture.
House poor, big empty rooms.
And Lindsay asked me if I would build a dining table for us. And I said, well, I've never done that, but I have always enjoyed, and I think to an extent thrived on figuring out how something's built, understanding it, and to some extent executing it. I'll give it a try, so researched, and she had a design that she found that she wanted, and I borrowed some tools, and we had a pile of barnwood that had been gifted to us probably a year before that, and it actually traveled a couple of driveways with us from our previous house to my parents' house, who we lived with for a couple months when we were trying to find a house, and ultimately landed in our current driveway. And so, I gave it a shot and built that table. And pretty quickly after that, we started to get encouragement from friends and family. And it was right at the onset of the barnwood craze.
Yeah, we also had
timing was really good, right?
Very lucky timing. And unintentional. We didn't plan it like that. It was just,
you guys should do this. People will buy these things from you. You should make this stuff. You could do a business. Yeah, I don't know about that. I think I'm all right doing what I'm doing. And I was in wholesale wine distribution, outside sales, and
drastic change.
Yeah.
And so
we didn't go to design school or architecture school or come from contracting or anything like that.
That's insane.
I think you just decided to start an Instagram handle and put that up, and maybe a couple other little random things, and started to get an inquiry here, an inquiry there, and just started to build just custom one-off pieces for people, and one here, one led to this and that, and it got to a point about a year and a half later where we're like, all right, we got to make some decisions here. Either we're gonna go for this, and that means we need to get out of the garage. We were just working out of our garage, right? And we
like
were doing
after work and on the weekends.
we were doing a lot of coasters and cutting boards, and we were doing the farmers markets and that kind of stuff. And I'm trying to think, like we got an opportunity to look at a shop space with a friend of ours that was she was considering moving her shop. And I was still very skeptical. And
I was like, we'll go look at it. Don't tell Alex where we're going. Let's just go look at it.
Because, it was like talking about rent. And I think it was like, I don't know, $600 a month or something. I'm like, we can't afford that. There's no way.
Sounds like a dream now.
And we went and looked at that shop. And I just was like, oh, man, what could I do in here? Here's
possibilities.
Set up with the tools and all this and that. And it really got my wheels spinning. And ultimately, we did not get that shop space, but it really, I think, it solidified for me that we were gonna give it a run.
Insane.
And we
did a Kickstarter.
We did a Kickstarter campaign to raise some money.
Yeah, that was to like help us get out of our garage.
Yeah.
So
That's cool.
A little bit of capital to
show to a landlord to be like, look, all this money, we're going to spend it tomorrow after we sign this lease. But
sign a lease and get some tooling, and we hired a couple of people part-time to help and us and that. So that was 2015 we did that.
March of 2015 we moved into our first shop and out of our garage.
And you had, before this, did you take wood shop when you were younger?
No.
Do you want to know what's funny? I failed wood shop in middle school.
Oh, really?
Joke's on them.
I had always been super interested and fascinated with just how things are made and how you build things, and like taking stuff apart and putting it back together.
I would say we're both like doers too. I think the reason why we ended up tackling the dining table when we moved into our house that we're in now was because the first house we bought together was actually just here in Clintonville, just around the corner. We could walk there. We remodeled the whole house ourselves. We didn't hire contractors or electricians. We tore down walls and redid we didn't have kids at that point. So we would, work all day and come home and be like, well, tonight we're hanging cabinets and tomorrow we'll paint. And, he built our concrete countertops in our house, which was like before concrete countertops were like, he got a book out from the library. Like we're talking 2005.
Book? What's a book?
I know. And so we just felt like inclined to like try, I guess.
That's funny. When you said accidentally an entrepreneur, I had no idea where you were going to go with that.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the people on the podcast they start off, when they go into the business and make their own company, it's because it stemmed from something in their childhood, or maybe their dad was in contracting or something. Yeah. Like you really just did stumble.
My dad was an entrepreneur, but surely somewhere deep down that has like inspired or impacted what I think of, working for yourself or building a business. But your dad worked in insurance and your mom worked at the hospital. My mom was a nurse.
Oh, geez.
Yeah.
Was it when you took that leap of faith of quitting your full-time job and doing this full-time? How was that?
So I continued to work in the wine business for probably like
a year and a half after we moved into the shop. It was October. I just remember it was in October.
So it was probably like another 6 months. I did not go through a holiday season in the wine business, which is like the busiest time.
It's like retail.
Yeah. I believe it was. So I worked for about another 6 months after we moved into that shop full time. And the company that I worked for was awesome. And they basically let me go out on my own terms, let me
that's awesome.
Cherry pick my route that was kind of close to our shop. So I could kind of be in between and doing this and doing that.
It's also worth noting we had 2 small children, and I was pregnant with our 3rd child when we decided to start this business. Like timing, I would say on paper doesn't sound like I'm sure our parents were like, oh, what are you guys
what are they doing? They're going to have to move in with us.
Yeah.
We're taking care of all 3 kids.
But so it was not exactly like ideal timing or, like a part of a big master plan or anything like that. Yeah.
That is so cool.
Truly, we were like, well, we'll give it a go.
Yeah.
You know?
So when you were still working part-time here, did you have full-time employees here?
Yeah.
They were both people, Joey and Busy were both part-time.
Okay.
But they both, Busy never went to full-time, but Joey obviously was. Yeah, Joey was with us for a long time.
did, and then I guess you could call that full-time. But and then we had started to grow the team a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't remember like when I was full-time, and then we had like our first full-time people, but yeah, to the point about like having a flexible work situation, I was able to like, go do a little bit of that in the morning. So it was an outside sales,
Yeah.
So I'm moving around account to account, and then I'd go to the shop, check in, get them going, go back, sell some more wine.
That's cool. That's very cool. So this is not the shop.
No.
When did you move in here?
This is the third shop.
Third.
Yeah.
In 10, 12
We've
years?
been here for 3 years.
Okay.
But in 9 years. So it was, it's like been 9.5 years. It was 9 years back in March. So we're coming up on 10 years. We should probably do something for that. I'll plan it. The first shop we moved into, we signed a 3-year lease. And we probably operated out of there for like 1.5 years. Does that sound about right? And we you move in and you're like, this shop's so big. We'll never outgrow this. Like 3 weeks later, you're like, where are we going to put everything? It starts piling up. So we outgrew it really quickly. Mm-hmm. And we were super fortunate to find like another small business owner who was like ramping up and needed warehouse space. So we sublet to them and moved into a different shop, which was actually, maybe a mile from, it was really close in Grandview. Both shops were in Grandview. And that place, when we first got it, was probably around like 9,000 or 10,000 square feet. And then over the course of the year, it was like it had other space. So we would like pick up a little bit of space, like blow out a wall and pick up this little corner. And it was real weirdly winding and laid out like 1900s factory that was really cool and beautiful. But so by the time we moved out, we had probably 13,000 square feet. Okay. And then we moved here. It was just 3 years ago, a couple weeks ago. It was like, and this is just shy of 27,000 square feet, right? Or just shy of 26.
It's a little over. Yeah,
it's a little over 27,000 square. Yeah.
Do you think this is the final resting point, or do you think?
I think so. We'll see. Yeah.
For now.
Yeah.
For now.
For the foreseeable future, this is.
Yeah. When you started, you were doing mostly just furniture?
Yep.
And
just doing furniture.
Household.
Cutting boards, coasters, picture frames, stuff like that.
And walking out in the shop, you're not just doing furniture now. You're doing fixtures, you're doing literally everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, we do a lot of stuff, which is, a challenge, right?
Yeah.
Everything's different, it seems like, which we like, But yeah, we do custom furniture. We do standard furniture. We have our own line of standard furniture.
Oh, really?
Like most of what you see in here is part of our line. The chairs, some of the tables and such. And then, we do a lot of millwork. We do a lot of cabinetry, ton of just miscellaneous metalwork, everything from table bases, chair bases. We do a lot of steel and glass door systems, railings, brackets, kind of.
So what was that turning point from furniture to literally everything?
Just like opportunity. Like someone coming and asking. I was just telling an architecture firm this morning we had in, like just because we haven't built it doesn't mean we can't. It's just someone hasn't asked, Yeah. And so like, I think the first commercial job we did was a local restaurant, and we knew the owner through preschool, and I still remember where I was when you told me that we got that job, and it was like the first time we did restaurant watershed.
Yeah.
Yep. First time we did like restaurant furniture and tables, and then somebody sees that you did those tables, and it's just a spider web, same way as like networking, right? Yeah. 6 degrees of separation. You never know where your referral or recommendation is going to come from, or the next opportunity.
Yeah, so you didn't limit yourself really at all, and that's how you kind of grew.
Yeah.
I feel like so many people just like stop and they're like put themselves in a bubble.
Well, and we started to like form and hire and create this like super talented team who, like one of our guys who works in the metal shop has been welding for 20 years. Like he just has so much experience and knowledge and industry knowledge. And we've got art students and industrial design kids and mechanically inclined people, and someone who came from like another creative studio but doing totally different work. And so we just have this like very talented, wide breadth of experience and knowledge, and so it makes it possible to build the crazy thing. Absolutely. Or the big thing, or the thing it's never been done, or whatever. So when it comes to hiring employees for here, do you struggle now? Because I feel like right now you don't at all. I wouldn't say we struggle.
Really?
We have a pretty long tenured team.
Okay.
And pretty much every time we've like gone to hire for a new position, or like if we're growing our project management team or our CAD team, like we do a posting and we have
hundreds of applications.
Lots of options.
Even for out in the shop, like the actual labor part of it?
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy.
Yeah, we've been
it's like
super
we're in
fortunate.
Totally two different worlds, because in Pittsburgh, they're like, they struggle on the daily. Yeah. And I think it just stems from schooling. People are like...
Yeah, I don't know how other shops are in town. I guess I've not really asked that. But, like we've been in business for, I guess we just established 9.5 years. Mm-hmm. We have someone on our team who's been with us for 7 of those 9.5 years, someone who's coming up on their 7th in a couple weeks, their 7th anniversary.
That's
another
big.
guy who's going to hit 7 in April. We've got a handful of people about to hit 5 years. So for like a young company who's gone through so much change and small business, it's hard to work in a small business. Like we have really good retention.
Yeah.
So that has helped. I mean, we're not like constantly hiring and turning people over. It's like pretty rare.
Yeah, that's good to hear.
Yeah.
I feel like the labor force in Pittsburgh is just not there. Yeah. I think the students are just want to go to college, and they're not taking they're probably amazing at the wood shop, metal shop, but they're getting deferred and being told to go to college. And I'm like, it's not what you need.
It's not for everybody.
Yeah, it's not for you.
Yeah, and there's going to be a trade shortage here soon. Like we need people
exactly
doing these things. Yeah.
So if you went back 9 years and learned, if you want to tell yourself something about maybe something you learned and maybe change, what would you say? It's probably a loaded question or a long list.
It's going to be so hard, and you're going to want to quit.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, when we've had at least 3 people from our team, former employees, team members, go off and start their own business.
Yeah.
Only one of them.
I was like, what is he about to say?
Gotcha.
And every single one of them, when they told me, some of them were, well ahead of, they were like, this is what I'm planning, love to stick around as long as I can. I was like, you sure you want to start a business?
Yeah.
Because it is going to be hard.
Yeah.
I mean, I would say it's the hardest thing that I've ever done.
It's harder than raising kids, I
think. Building, growing, and maintaining a small business.
How hard is it doing it together?
It's pretty easy.
Okay.
For us.
The reason I ask is I'm not going to call these people out, but I've had them on and they struggled with it.
Yeah.
Being married or being a family member or anything, they struggled with it. And I mean, takes tension on your relationship and tension on the company.
Yeah, I think we do such different things in the business, which I've always said has like really helps. Like, and there's nobody I trust more in the world than him. And so like, if he's making a decision about something in his lane or for the business, like I know it's with the best of intentions, and I just trust him to do that. And we don't do the same things in our business. So we're like, when we were setting up, I was like, oh, hi, we've been in this building together all day and haven't actually spoken really all day. But I think when things are really hard, it's like when we're going through a difficult time or we have to make a hard decision or we're trying to navigate something tricky or unexpected or whatever, like, I think what's hard is like going home and like you just have this like gray cloud hanging over you, or like you're trying to have some semblance of a normal life and like transition to like home life and like, oh, we gotta get the kids to sports practice and have dinner and like pretend like this awful thing didn't just happen. And so I think that the separation of like personal and professional, I think goes in waves. Like I think we have times where we do like a better job than others, and you know, it's usually related to stressful things.
Yeah, I think probably the hardest part is the stress that comes with it, right? You know, any number of problems or issues that every business owner has dealt with at some point in time. You know, it just, you know, whether it's, you know, people problems or cash flow issues or any number of things, right? I mean,
semi-truck drivers fraying machinery.
Yeah, you know, like yesterday, a semi-truck driver knocked out our power and
fried a machine,
damaged 2 of our machines, and I've been dealing with that the last 2 days, trying to get parts overnighted so we can get things back up and running. And it wasn't part of the plan for the week.
No, not at all.
You know? I just think like the finding ways to compartmentalize the stress so that we're not taking it home as much as possible.
Yeah, I mean, I still think we take a lot home, but I do think
it's impossible
going through all the hard, like doing this together, building this together, going through all of the hard times and all of the wonderful times and everything in between has certainly made our marriage so much stronger. Because you're just like in it together.
Yeah, and usually it's one of us is like down here and the other one's like up here, and we can balance each other out.
Yeah.
Kind of stuff. Sometimes we're both up, but very rarely are we both down.
Yeah.
So you guys you mentioned you're on 2 sides of the business. What is each role in the company?
Yeah, I mean, well, we're both owners, and we're both highly involved in sales. I would say probably now more than ever have we been like really doing very similar things. Yeah. You know, now that we
like in the last year or so,
where so Lindsay's always been, you know, she's always led the marketing and really done the marketing, with the exception of a few small periods or having outsourced help. But I've always been, you know, operations,
estimating,
project management, estimation, sales, like. And as we've grown and built a team, I've been able to step back from more and more of that. And I mean, my primary role right now is estimating and sales, and then also like, being CEO. But we have a great operations team that really, you know, tackles the day-to-day. That I don't have to do too much with that. So really focusing on sales is pretty much my primary task at the moment.
Well, I think it was like, I don't know how long I've been following you guys on social media, but it's been a while.
I know,
even
same.
Before,
I was like, I don't even know how this all, when or where.
I remember walking in here and I think it was January, and I came in. I'm like, wait a minute, I think I know what this place is.
Yeah.
And I went back on social media, and I'm like, I'm already following them. But it was weird because I've never been to Columbus before that visit.
Oh,
So like,
really?
I don't know how we came across, but maybe it just, I don't know.
So you
Just
were,
the algorithm.
you were here with someone else, right?
Derek Bloom Rep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bloom Rep. Okay.
Yeah, but it's kind of cool how social media just kind of like comes together like that.
Yeah.
It's funny when we connected at IWF, and we had actually been emailing about one of the lines that he represents, and like I didn't realize.
Didn't like put it all together.
Put it all together.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
About Element
designs,
and like look back through my, I'm like, wait a second.
I know him.
Yeah, that's the one hard part about the full-time job. It's so many different lines. It's hard to keep track of who. I mean, on your end, like what rep to reach out to for what material.
Well, when you asked me about our
what?
rep for that one, and I was like, oof, it's changed, and I don't know, but I also don't do that. So
Yeah.
But yeah.
How do you go through that part, like the sourcing of materials? Because I mean, you're getting these jobs that are like so out there, and then I mean, we talked earlier about a job you're doing that you've never done before, and we're trying to figure out like material-wise, how do you even go about that? Is it a lot of just researching?
Research, I suppose.
Yeah.
I mean, and a lot of it is can be boiled down to relatively standardized materials.
Mm-hmm.
Whether that's a veneer or a solid wood or a PLAM. I mean, the lighting piece is a little bit relatively new for us, so timing was good with you and IWF and that kind of thing, but. Yeah, research, I think, probably is what it ultimately comes down to,
Or like when I feel like when we're researching, or you're researching for like this project over here, you stumble upon something on your research and you're like, oh, that's not what I need, but that's interesting. And then, 6 months later, a project presents itself and you're like, wait a minute, I remember finding this thing 6 months ago that I didn't use, but I feel like our like resource library and like the types of materials we've done, and now we're in touch with so many reps that you're like, well, we need this thing, do you know who we could contact? You know what I mean? Like leaning on your network and your relationships to be like, how did we
Yeah, it's weird because I'm coming from the residential world, so I could just ask another designer in the residential world and figure it out, but you guys are kind of like touching every piece of design from retail to commercial to residential. You kind of do it all, so that'd be even more complicated figuring out where to get what.
Yeah.
Do you find like those trade shows beneficial for them?
I do, yeah.
Okay.
IWF was very overwhelming, but it's so big,
especially the machinery side.
That was only the second one that we've been to. Well, you didn't go, but we went to AWFS last year in Vegas, and it's about
a third
of the size.
Yeah. Oh, really?
And it still felt really big.
Yeah.
Oh,
I was at that one and I was like, I'm beat.
Yeah.
I do find it beneficial. I think you need to go with the plan, like what you're trying to accomplish, and largely had that at IWF. It's just so much.
Yeah, it's overwhelming.
Yeah.
I mean, my first trade show was KBIS. Have you ever been to KBIS?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
you need to go.
Oh, that's in Vegas too, right? Yeah.
It's in February.
Yes.
Definitely need to go to that.
Yeah.
It's more material side and designer side, so it's not as machineries. There's no machines there.
Yeah.
But even it's tied up with IBS now, which is not a very good name, but International Builder Show. But it has all the building stuff side of it, which is awesome.
Yeah.
So it's cool to see that side of it.
Yeah. The machinery at some of those things, like you could spend $50 million without batting an eye. It's kind of crazy. It's fun
insane.
to like stand and watch some of the demos on stuff and you're like, wow, we don't need that, but that's cool.
How was that sticker shock when you started filling up your shop with all the machinery?
It's been like sort of slow and steady, right?
It has, yeah. I mean, when we moved in here, we definitely invested in a couple of things that were not inexpensive, right?
Yeah.
But we really don't have anything back there that is. We don't have any six-figure machines back there.
Okay.
I mean, our dust collector, I guess, maybe would qualify, but we're kind of at that point where it's like, all right, are we really ready to step up into big boy tools,
Yeah.
big boy machines.
Big boy price tags.
Big boy price tags, and like a true like industrial CNC router, right?
Yeah.
But those things are $250,000, and you got to feed that machine, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we're high mix, low volume, and like everything's different. And can those machines do like all that stuff? Yes. But the $50,000 machine we have back there also can do it.
Yeah.
So
you think that'd probably be the next, instead of moving, just kind of make it more sustainable with machinery wise and just kind of upscale.
Yeah.
And so, like, you've probably been in a lot of shops before,
Mm-hmm.
and like, we feel like we have a lot of capacity still. We just walked around the shop, and like, we've been here 3 years. We do what we call like shop updates, maybe every 6 months or so, and improving efficiencies or just changing locations of things and just finding sort of the right setup. And, we just keep improving and improving and improving. And we feel like there's still quite a lot of capacity out there for growth. And, some of these shops, just piles of stuff everywhere and you're squeezing through. So we've got wide open space and
there's
plenty
no
of space.
flow to them.
Yeah.
I've been into so many shops, there's no flow. And if they'll give me a tour like you did, and they have no idea what goes where and where certain parts are, which is insane.
I know sometimes we don't have that. I mean, our shop's clean. We have a lot of opportunity for improvement workflow and part flow and handling. But again, like, the highly custom nature and high mix, low volume can make that challenging. And it's one of the things that we're going to be doing soon is engaging with a consultant. That's what they do. You know?
Set up your shop for the most efficient process.
Oh, I didn't know there was consultants for that.
Oh, yeah.
There's a consultant
Really cool.
for everything.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, of course.
That's pretty cool.
And they specialize. This company specializes in wood manufacturing and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So
Even with the back equipment, you'd think about that being, you have to stack up with that technology wise, but you're like all the engineering up front with the computers and stuff.
Oh yeah, that's the
CAD
thing.
and all that.
Yeah.
Do you think that's more a priority or something that you need to stay on top of more, or is it the back end?
Depends on the day, probably.
Yeah, I mean, CAD, the pre-production side of things is definitely a bottleneck for us right now, and part of the reason I keep going back to it is because we are, high mix, low volume, and everything's different, and we have to use generalized software for doing our modeling and our shop drawings, where we primarily use Fusion 360 and SketchUp.
Okay.
And they're great programs and do everything we need, but they're not, if we get a big cabinet project, they're not really efficient, where there's programs that are specifically designed for drawing cabinetry, and they got libraries of boxes and boxes, and it just
make it easy.
Where what we're doing doesn't really equate. So
that'd be a lot of money a year spending on software if you just got that. Or you filled every single space.
Right.
Yeah, that'd be insane.
Yeah. But I do think we're turning a corner. Adam and I were talking about this today of we've been building for so long and we've built so many things that now when someone comes to us and they're like, well, this is sort of my intent or what I want, we're able to be like, well, is it like this, or this? And they're like, oh, I love that image. And I'm like, okay, let's do that again. We have the drawings for that. We, maybe the dimensions are a little different, so it has to be modified, but we have information on how long it took to build and what worked well on it and what didn't, or how to improve it and all that kind of stuff. So our portfolio of things we've done now is just so wide and vast that a lot of times we have a solution to provide or offer that we've already done.
Yeah.
Or it's this part of this and this part of this. We're able to piece it together with what we've done. So we definitely feel like we're turning a corner on that a bit. A lot of it, we're at the mercy of what the project is, though, like every restaurant doesn't look the same. So every furniture package and every custom fixture is just that, custom.
It's different. Yeah. So I want to finish with one question. Your job and what you do here is very hard to explain to someone. So what do you say to people what you do?
We are a custom manufacturing shop.
Okay.
We specialize in wood and metal and some other surfaces and materials, but we can provide custom furniture and fixtures and millwork for anything.
And then you say that to someone that's not in the business and they're like, I have no idea what you just said. Like, what's millwork?
Yeah.
No, I mean, I think that, well, it's not in the industry maybe. Yeah. I mean, cabinetry, paneling, all that kind of stuff, right? Yeah. I mean, we used to say, if you can dream it, we can build it. And we still say that as long as you can pay for it.
Okay. I mean, anything's possible if you have money.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And people, like, with the age of the internet and AI and all this stuff, it's like a little out of control what people want and what they think they can get. And, all these home improvement shows were like, oh, we redid this kitchen for $9,000. And you're like, that piece of stone is $9,000.
Yeah.
But so it has been challenging for sure to align people's expectations with their budgets. Mm-hmm. And that is definitely something where, I had somebody reach out today, wanted this crazy custom bed, Murphy bed. And it's absolutely something we can build. We have built it before, but their established budget was a quarter of what it probably would be. Yeah. And so I just try and be upfront about stuff like that. I'm like, what is your budget for this? Okay, it's $6,000. It's probably a $25,000 bed. Is that feel comfortable for you? And she was like, no, but thank you so much for the quick response, So just trying to... We want to be transparent and upfront with people. Like,
I don't want to waste their time or our time.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like one of those things, exactly. You see it on TV and you compare pricing, but you don't take into account like materials that are given to you, or you're just not in the industry. Like yesterday, I wasn't test driving to buy, but I was because I know the salesperson. I test drove the new Bentley Continental GT.
Casual.
Never drove a car that. This car was like $360,000, and I was like terrified in the beginning to like start driving it. I'm like,
what if I ding something or someone rear ends me? Or
but like when I saw that price tag, that surprised me because I'm not even. It surprised me just to see a Chevy price now.
Yeah.
Because I'm not in that industry, but like anybody looking into our industry just gets sticker shock because they're so used to seeing it on TV for this much.
Yeah.
And they don't take into account like.
Yeah.
All the stuff that goes along with it.
It's pretty common that we will get someone inquiring about a project, and it's mostly in the residential side, where like their established budget for a fully custom designed thing that we have to figure out, design, draw, buy materials, build, their whole budget, and install or deliver or whatever, like their entire budget is less than what it would cost us in materials. Like it's like we can't even buy materials for that, let alone pay a team and then maybe make a penny, So we try and have those conversations up front, or
you have to.
Or if they send you a really great inspiration image being like, what inspires you about this photo? Like what is important to you? And then try and like back into their budget with the thing that's, because sometimes what's in an inspiration image, it's really, they just like the texture or the color or whatever. And it's not really about all the other stuff. So
and what stands out to them doesn't stand out to us. And what stands out to us is not important. It's what they see and what they're trying to achieve, and just trying to, get to that sooner rather than later. And then we can also oftentimes we can make practical solutions and suggestions on all right, well, let's do this. And that's going to save you X, right? Mm-hmm. And make it more feasible.
Yeah. It all comes down to asking questions.
Yeah.
There's so many times people just come in, they're like, I want this white kitchen. I'm like, why do you want this white kitchen? They're like, oh wait, I don't want a white kitchen. I have kids. I don't want.
Yeah.
I'm a mess. I don't want this.
Yeah.
So I mean, if you don't ask the questions, you're actually doing them a disservice.
Yeah.
Even if they could afford it,
Yeah.
you're still doing them a disservice.
Yeah.
Well, I want to thank you for having me. This is actually my first in person that I shot outside of Pittsburgh. So they're always on Zoom if it's not in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm so glad this worked out.
yeah, well, thank you for having me, and I can't wait to get this out. But I want to end on where people could follow you on social media.
Oh, yeah. So we're on most social media channels. Instagram, we're just at Edgework Creative. We're on Facebook, Pinterest, LinkedIn, and our website is edgeworkcreative.co. And we've got a really extensive gallery and portfolio of our previous work and projects, and some of our semi-customizable furniture on there, and lots of eye candy.
Cool, and they can inquire on the website as well.
Yeah.
Cool.
We've got a get a quote form. You can fill it out and tell us about your project, and that comes to me. I'm the person behind info at edgeworkcreative.co.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, awesome. Well, thank you again for having me.
Yeah. Thank you.
Absolutely.
This
Thank
is
you.
awesome.
Cool.
Yeah.